So we bought the plane tickets to Israel a couple weeks ago, and it took a while to get the girls used to the idea. They sometimes need time to process something as big as that. And at first we were like, okay, if you don't want to go, then maybe Isaac and I will just go, and then we'll go together another time. I never imagined like going separate without them. So when we were in the teepee, and that's the thing, it was like we all dreamt of going home. We realized who we were at the teepee. That was when the reality of who we are, our identity, really got driven home. And so while we were at the teepee, we felt homeless, because we basically were. We were living in a tent. Though it looked nice and everything, we felt very homeless, and we were longing for home and longing to go to the land. But I mean, we could hardly afford gas down the hill to to go to Spirit Lake. So there was no way. And we thought for a time that possibly that Yahweh was just preventing us from having money, because I think he knew as soon as we did have money, we were going to go to Israel. And so maybe he was keeping us poor, so that for many reasons, I'm sure. But maybe he just didn't want us going yet. I don't know. But so we never thought that, that we would go without the girls. But they at first did not want to go, and it was really like a little bummer, a little downer for Isaac and I for a little while. But we were thinking, okay, so we'll go by ourselves, or go just him and I. And then we came back and told the girls that it was just him and I who were going to go, and then they got all mad. So it took a little while, but then they came on board, and pretty soon, I wish I had footage of it. I don't have footage of it. I was 2 seconds too late in getting the camera, but when Hadassah called her best friend Livy on the phone to tell her where she was going, it was sweet. It was pretty cool. She was so excited, just laughing and giggling. So it took a little while, but anyway, after we bought tickets, we started looking for where to stay, and I didn't realize that there's a lot of people that go up to the feast. There's a lot of people that actually come into Israel at that time of year. And so the hotel costs, all the lodging costs are inflated, things like that. That's what I hear, at least. Of course, I've never gone before, so I don't really know what a normal price is, I guess. But I did a lot of research for the last 2 weeks, and so what I did was, like, as I found something available that for a certain amount of time, then I booked it as fast as I could. And on booking.com, I really like their site, because you have free cancellation for a lot of them if you look for that. So that means that I could book and then book double, so like as I was figuring out our route, cancel it if I needed to, as I was figuring things out. So yeah. So one of the coolest things was Papa sent me Wendy to talk to, my friend Wendy, like probably the day after or 2 days after I bought the plane tickets. I started getting a little queasy in my stomach. I was a little nervous, and the reality of everything was kind of like setting in, and but my friend Wendy basically got a hold of me and went for a long 4 or 5 hour hike with me and Hadassah, and told me all about Israel and her experience. She's been there 3 times. So that to me was really helpful, to be able to talk to somebody who has been there before. After we bought tickets, that was the first part of my journey into how to do this. That was really, really helpful. And then I got to talk to Mindy, Seta, for just a few minutes. She's been there so many times. And so that was cool. So anyway, that was really helpful for my heart to kind of calm down and relax, knowing that here's some friends who have been there and come back, and they've done it with children, and it's okay. So I got this piece of paper, and I was like, I don't know what the land looks like, the shape of it or anything. So I found a map, and I started to hand draw the shape of Israel, and then fill in, where the West Bank was, where the Golan Heights are, and where the Gaza Strip is, and I'm going to color them red, and we're not going there. But and then I started filling in the cities and where we wanted to go. That was really helpful for me to kind of get a feel of the land, and then I figured out time between cities, so how long it would take to actually go from Tel Aviv to Caesarea, and when we land, where do we want to be that first night? Do you want to it's gonna be a long 20-hour day, do you want to drive anymore, that sort of thing. So anyway, we nailed out like a kind of a circle path, because we're going to be there for 2 weeks, and we don't want to be driving back and forth. I also did one other thing I did. I know this is a long video. One other thing I did was I looked at the government embassy website, or they have like security updates and stuff. The U.S. government does, as to where they highly suggest that you don't go, and stuff like that. And then you can enroll in something called the SMART program, where you basically give the embassy your itinerary, and your passport number and stuff, and then in case of emergency they can come get you. But you know what, Papa's taking us there. It's his land. It's not I'm not worried. So for a family of 4 going over, it costs a small fortune, but it's what we're using is tithe money from the sale of the property. We had a huge amount of money in tithe, and it just doesn't seem, when you have that much money and you have enough to go, when they're commanded feasts to go, it just felt like it was a duh. And it wasn't like, at first we were talking about, well, maybe we should like wait a whole year and plan this trip out. But then my thought was, we're just going to have a whole year of anxiety and stress over, can't wait till next year. What if this happens, or this happens, or this falls through, or this falls through? Let's just go now. Just don't think about it. Just obey the command. And this is the coolest thing about this whole command stuff that Papa has for us, and the instructions in the Torah that tells us when we're supposed to show up. He tells us, where we're supposed to show up, and how we're supposed to show up. I love it, because it just gives so much freedom. Because when I look at, if I had no, what do you call it, guidelines, then it would be a free-for-all. I could go whenever I wanted, I could go however I wanted, and I could go wherever I wanted. But it's so wonderful that he tells us, when we're supposed to go to the feast, and where we're supposed to go, and how, basically, how in the sense of, we're supposed to bring our hearts, we're supposed to bring a, free will offering, we're supposed to do it with tithe money. I mean, so cool to have all that laid out for us, because, I've heard all over and over that, Sukkot is like, the worst time of year to go over there. For one, prices are inflated. There's a ton of people, and which is kind of the point, don't you think? Camp meeting, lots of people, lots of family. Yeah, I think so. But anyway, inflated prices, lots of people. Which the inflated prices, I mean, I'm sure Yahshua is up, just like Wendy said, he busted into the temple and turned over the tables, saying, you're preventing my people from coming. So yeah, whatever. But anyway, point being is, he'll make everything right when he comes back, and then it'll be really easy to go. But anyway, point being is that, people might try to scare us away from going up to the feast at that time of year, but for us it was a duh. It's like, that's when Papa said to go, that's when we're going. Why would we go any other time of year? I mean, why would you spend all that money going another time of year when he didn't tell you to go any other time of year? He told you to go 3 times a year. We're going to go those 3 times. So we're going to go with Papa's money. We're going to go to his land. We're going to go obey his command to go up to the feast. And so, you know, what happens is his problem. We're just going to obey and enjoy everything that he has for us. I'm so excited because I can feel the blessings already from planning this trip. I mean, already I have booked some amazing places to stay. We have a great route. We're going to get to see, you know, the Mediterranean Sea. We're going to get to see the Galilee. We're going to get to see Nazareth and Jerusalem and the Dead Sea. We're going to get to see the Negev, and it's just you know, amazing. And then on top of it, you know, I do a little post and let people know we're going, and all of a sudden, oh, I'm going too. Can we meet up? And, you know, people are putting us in touch with people there, and people, you know, it's like here, we have tried for 10 years to find fellowship, and we're so lonely. People drag their heels to gather, you know, and all of a sudden, I mean, we're going to go over there, and we've got more fellowship already over there during that week than we've had during Sukkot before. Okay, that's not quite true yet. We had a great Sukkot here a few years back. We did. Lots of people, so that's not true. But perhaps, you know, in the end it will be true. But, you know, I don't know yet, but I know that the U.S. government said stay out of public transportation or public buses and trains and things like that. So simply because, you know, trust their input, we're renting a car. Now I know some people have said don't rent a car, but I cannot figure out how to get from, you know, the airport to Caesarea, from Caesarea to the Galilee without a car. So I'm not thumbing a ride, trust me, I'm not with kids. So for me as a mom going over for the very first time, I feel a little blind going over because I've never been there before, and I'm taking my whole family. But I know that Papa will guide us, Yahshua will guide us, but the Ruach will speak to us. But I also don't want to go over unprepared. I want to go over as prepared as I possibly can. So I'm making sure that we know where we're staying, that we have a plan, a route, and how we're going to get from point A to point B. So to me, that's really important. So now that the plane tickets are booked, now that all the places are booked, the lodging is booked, which we're going to stay at some really cool places, let me tell you. And now the car is booked. Now we're going to look at each place we're going and then start exploring those areas as to, okay, what could we do from here and how far is it to drive? You know, can we go to see, when are we going to go to see the Garden Tomb? Are we going to walk? Are we going to drive? What are we going to do? So that's going to be set. But I really like my little map that I made because it's helping me with a little timeline, like, okay, we're going from here to here, we're going to stay over at this place, da-da-da. So that's really exciting. So I've got some great places to stay that are not your typical tourist trap. I don't know. I mean, I did find them online, so probably there's been a lot of people there. But some places seem to be pretty new that just came up, like bed and breakfasts. So I was looking at hostels, I was looking at kibbutzes, I was looking at bed and breakfast, we were looking at campgrounds, which to get those cheap places like campgrounds and stuff, you have to actually book way in advance, it looks like, because they sell out really fast because they're cheap but they look really cool. But we don't want the kids separate from us at night, so because they sell beds basically and tents or that sort of thing, unless you bring your own backpack and tent. Although some campgrounds were like closed and stuff due to sinkholes, I guess. I don't know, down by the Dead Sea. But but anyway, my point is with hostels, like there's some really cool hostels out there, but per bed they're like, I don't know, anything from $25 to $45, $50 per bed per night. So if you're single and traveling, that looks like a really great deal. But when you've got a family, that can add up to be more than just to get a really nice suite at a bed and breakfast. So I've opted to get, we're doing 2 hostels. We're going to experience those, but we're doing one campground. We're going to experience a farm. We're going to experience some cabins by the sea, but we're also doing some bed and breakfasts in Jerusalem. So we'll be walking a lot of places. So anyway, so now we got to figure out what we're doing there. Besides meeting up with a few people to fellowship and some, go figure, Melchizedek people. Go figure, over here, trying to find Melchizedek, focused people, very difficult, but man, first thing out of the gate, we get to fellowship with a Melchizedek kid over there. How exciting. And not a kid, he's a young man. Anyway, it'll be fun. So that's my morning selfie stick update on this. It's like, I watch in booking.com, I have an account, and it's like counting down the days, and I think it was 62 days when I bought was it 62 days? I think it was 60 or 62 days showed when I bought the very first hotel, or the very first lodging, and now it's like at, my light just died, and now it's like at 45. So we're going.